very excited to have you. As I was saying, I am the Queen Bee, Janet Neal, and let me just tell you a little bit about how I came to put these shows on the air. As Oprah says, there are three things that I know for sure. One is that the world needs a lot of help. Two, that women are powerful beings that can turn things around in this world in no time at all. And three, that many women do not realize that they have this power. So that's what prompted me to start The Superb Woman, to help women to understand the power that they have and to help them to step into this power so that they in turn can put it back into the world for the betterment of all. So one of the ways that I do that is by getting out and meeting amazing superb women. And the way that I define a superb woman is someone who's comfortable in their own skin, somebody who's taken the time to step back and understand themselves, to be themselves before they go do, and somebody who's putting back that positive energy into the world for the betterment of all. And I would be meeting these amazing women and going back and telling my friends about them and realizing that they're inspiring me and they're inspiring the women I'm telling about them too. And I wanted to increase the audience because these women are powerful beings that their stories need to be told. They need to get out there. So I'm really grateful to be able to share their stories with all of you. And I like to share how I met them because it gives you, my belief is that you meet women, you meet powerful beings every day of your life, but you have to put yourself out there and you have to ask questions and you have to start the conversation. So let me tell you how I met our guest today, Barbara Clarke Ruiz. Barbara and I have something very precious in common. We both have daughters that are graduating from high school in less than a week. And they have been in school together since, I think, pre-K. So Barbara and I have known each other tangentially through school activities and being soccer moms. And one day at a soccer celebration at the end of the season, I remember she and I were sitting on the steps in someone's backyard and saying, well, what do you do to each other? And we got to know each other a little bit more. And at that time, Barbara started telling me about her work with starting this organization called Fortune Girls. We share a passion for not only empowering women, but empowering girls. And Barbara has a really unique story. And I'm so happy to bring her here today. In addition to that, what you may recognize, Barbara, if you're a fan of CBS Sunday Morning, she was on a couple of weeks ago. She's the chief, oh boy, she just told me and I forgot it already, chief design person at 11 by Venus Williams. So she works very closely with Venus. She's been an activewear designer for many, many years. So let Barbara tell you more about it in her own words. Welcome, Barbara.
Thank you, Janet. Thank you for having me.
So tell us more about Fortune Girls. How did you get going with that whole thing?
Well, Fortune Girls is a brand that's based on the empowerment of girls and give impact to the community. And it's my daughter and I who initially started the brand, the concept, and it started just from my daughter doing drawings because we would go to restaurants and she'd always come with us because she's an only child, and I'd say, hey, draw mom a pretty picture. So I started collecting all these pretty pictures. So she's been drawing since she was about 2. And then at one point, you know, I really took a long look at her drawings. I'm like, wow, these are really cute. And we started to redecorate her room, and she needed some art on the walls. And I said, hey, well, you know, why don't we grab some of these pictures that you've been drawing for a long time, and, you know, I'll scan them in, I'll color on top of them, and we'll color them to match your room, and we'll have them framed. And so that's what we did. And there, I guess we did about 15 or so, and we had them on our wall. And a friend of mine who used to be in the fashion industry came to my home, and he said, wow, where'd you get this really cool art? And I said, well, it's Madison's. He's like, why is it not on the front of a t-shirt? And I'm like, gosh, really, you think? So that's when I really started, you know, my wheels turning. And incidentally, a year or two later, I was on the beach in Martha's Vineyard, and I met my business partner. And so together, she and I have been, growing this brand now for a number of years and just making some great, progress. I mean, we call ourselves the little engine that could. So our brand really consists of, three arms. The bulk of it, the majority of it is going to live online, where we will be entertaining. We call it edutainment. We'll be edutaining girls online, and that would be through, our website, through apps. We also will have music, ebooks. There's also going to be an offline component where we're going to be doing events for girls and tying that back in. And then we have a community component with the Fortune Girls Ambassadors Club, and that's really where we invite girls to do various activities with us. And so some of the activities include, taking girls to the hospitals, local hospitals, and giving away teddy bears to sick kids. We also did an initiative with Operation Gratitude, in which we invited girls to sew little hearts on camouflage handkerchiefs and write letters to the soldiers who were deployed. So, it really consists of three arms, and all of those components collectively make up Fortune Girls, because we feel like, empowerment is so much bigger than just the growth of yourself, but really giving back to others really makes a difference in being well-rounded. So that's really how the brand started. And so we were selected for the Teen Choice Award gift bags. We also received close to 3 million hits to our beta site in about 4 months. So that was a big deal for us. We never anticipated that coming. And we also did an initiative with the Girl Scouts in which we sent our postcards out to 4 million girls. And we had, they purchased 1,500 t-shirts from us, and we had over 25,000 girls who signed up to win those t-shirts. So now we're at the juncture where we're about to redo our website because it is in Flash, and we're going to be doing an HTML format so that it can be viewed on tablets and phones. And we are planning on doing our first app. So we're in the process of looking for funding. That seems to be what every startup, where they hit the snags in order to fulfill, what it is their desires are. It always comes back to the funding. So we're constantly in fundraising mode, it seems like. So
Yeah.
that's Fortune Girls in a nutshell.
I'm always at what you do. So tell me more about, I know how it started with your daughter's drawings, but where was this passion for the empowerment of girls? Where did that come from?
I think the passion came from my daughter, being a tween and, having struggles with relationships, with friendships, and, helping her to understand that, I guess every mom has to help their daughter kind of navigate friendships when it comes to girls. So it really started from there, and then it sort of went into the need for her to do community service, because I feel like that's really important. And then I've always been the kind of mom that if my daughter had any kind of interest, I would try to put her in that activity so that she could pursue that interest further. And so it really was about just creating a well-rounded, young lady that I felt like, when she, graduated from high school and ventured off to college, she was going to be ready and she was going to be really comfortable in her skin, and she is. And as you mentioned earlier, our daughters are graduating on Friday, and she's our only one. And so she's actually going to be studying in Hong Kong, and so that's a really big deal for her, and she's super excited, and, she's going to be studying animation, and she's been wanting to do that for the longest, even, I think that this brand really helped her to understand what her natural gifts are, because, we have hopes of doing an animated series, and we have 2 former executives from Nickelodeon who have agreed to work with us in the development of our animated series, and so that'll be coming down the pike later.
Well, that is just so inspiring. And, I heard a couple of things, Barbara. One is you were following your passion, you were following your heart in being a mom, in encouraging your daughter. And by just doing what came naturally to you, look what you passed on to her. So I think I applaud you for that.
Thank you.
And I think you're a great example of, what can come when you really, do what is right for you and your family.
Right. Well, you know, one of the things that Fortune Girls that my partner and I truly believe is that every girl has a natural gift. And I knew from a very early age, probably as early as 10 years old, that I wanted to be a fashion designer. And so I guess I live by example because my mother, you know, she put me in local sewing classes, and I grew up in the girls' club, and that's really how I learned to sew. And I actually went to a high school where I studied fashion design. So, you know, by the time I left high school and I got accepted to Pratt, I absolutely knew that that's what my passion was. And what I didn't know is that my passion was in activewear. I didn't realize that later until after, you know, I finished my college studies and I got offered a job with Ralph Lauren and also one with Adidas. And so Ralph Lauren wasn't paying as well as Adidas, and I said, you know what, I'll go and work for Adidas. I don't have to be there forever, but I'll go and do that because, that's the consideration. When you live in the tri-state area and I was a student, I'm like, I have to be able to take care of myself because I can't move back home to Virginia. So I actually took the job with Adidas and just fell in love with activewear, and that's where I've been for the last 20-something years.
So how did you, I remember not long ago you saying to me, I can't believe this, but I think I'm going to be working with Venus Williams. So how did that come about? And tell everybody what your real title is, because I totally messed that one up.
That's okay. My real title is that I'm design director of 11 by Venus, which is her line. Her line is called 11. And it's one better than a 10. So we know 10 is perfect. So, you know, our goal in life is to reach perfection, but really surpass that and get to that 11. So that's really what her brand stands for. And so I feel so incredibly lucky that I have the opportunity to work with her. She's like one of the most dynamic people I've ever met, and she's one of the kindest people I've ever met. And it is such a delight and a joy to work with her. And it's so weird to me, like sometimes I have to like pinch myself and I'll say to her, okay, Venus, I'm going to be a groupie right now. Can you sign my tennis ball? You know, and she always obliges. Like she's just she's a real sweetheart. And but I actually met her because about 5 years ago, one of my old clients called me and asked me if I'd be interested in working on a dress line and an intimate apparel collection with Serena. And I thought, are you kidding? Heck yeah, I'll do that. So I met Serena and we put together her dress line and her intimate apparel line. And it took us a while to find a retailer for it. And then shortly thereafter, I stayed in contact with her business manager, and that, gosh, I think it was like about a 5-year span. And then one day he calls me up and he said, Barbara, you know, Venus wants to get her line going again. You know, she was at Stephen Barry's, and you know they went bankrupt, and so now she's ready. I'm like, I'm in. So I didn't hear from her for a while, and I thought, I'm not sure if this is ever going to pan out, but I didn't hear from her, and then all out of the blue, I get this phone call, and I answer the phone. I'm like, hello. She was like, hey. I said, hi. And she said, hey, this is Venus. I'm like, Williams? So she's like, yeah. I'm like, I said, oh my gosh. I'm like, Venus, you call me like we talk like every day.
Wow.
So, and then from there, you know, I suggested that she go out and really do her homework to figure out, you know, if she wanted to do her line herself or if she wanted to license her name to other, you know, to a licensing company in order to do it. And I said, do your homework because you need to be really comfortable in direction that you're going to go in. And so she said, all right. So I didn't hear from her for, I guess, about a month or so. And then she called me back and she was like, yeah, I'm ready. I'm like, great. So then so part of what I do as an activewear designer is not only design collections, but, you know, oftentimes licensing companies, when they acquire a new license, they need to understand, okay, so what is that first collection? What is it going to look like? You know, who is it going to position this, who are we going to sell it to? How are we going to position it in the market? And so that's where I come in because I kind of help them to understand all of that. And so, you know, it's been so much fun helping Venus to really understand how she should position, you know, her brand and and she's got such incredible ideas, and so we sit together and we design the collection, and I'm pretty much involved from soup to nuts, and we do all of our production in LA. So I work with the production team when she goes off and she plays tennis, and it's just great. It's really great.
That's fabulous. That's fabulous. Let me take a minute and go back to what you were talking about with Fortune Girls, because you were talking about how it started, right? And you had these drawings, and then you met your business partner on the beach, and then all of a sudden you've got an online presence, you've got work with the Girl Scouts, you've got all these different things that you talked about. And to somebody who's just thinking of starting a business, I can imagine going, how did she ever do that? How did you do that? We can't do this by ourselves. Who helped you along the way, and how did you get these ideas to go these different directions?
Well, one, I have an amazing business partner who I thought I was a hard worker, workaholic, and when you love what you do, it doesn't feel like work. And so, I've got an incredible business partner who comes from the entertainment industry, and so, we always say that we're able to accomplish what we do because we don't come from the children's industry. I come from activewear, she comes from entertainment, so that has nothing to do with what Fortune Girls is. And so, it's been a huge learning curve for us. We like to say we got our MBA, we're growing this brand, which I think we did. But it really just comes from opportunity. I'd like to think that we're incredibly blessed, and we pray a lot, and we just come up with ideas, and opportunities come your way. I mean, through social media, opportunities have just arisen just based on just having like the presence. And so when we did our beta, we had no idea that we were going to receive for our beta, and we since took that site down because we realized that we received all those many hits because we had came up with a proprietary game, and we thought, let's take it offline and let's move it into an app. And so that's what we did, or that's what we're working on. It's offline now, so the site that you see there is not our beta. And then with regards to the Girl Scouts, I've always loved the Girl Scouts, and I had one of my dear friends who worked with them, and again, having just a conversation, at lunch. I've known her for several years, and she said, I think this will be a great fit for the Girl Scouts. I'm like, you think? She was like, yeah, let me talk internally and let me see. She's like, I think that our girls would really love this. And so that's how the Girl Scouts came about. And when we were selected by the Teen Choice Awards, now this is really funny because I really do believe that we're the little engine that could, because we were with a huge PR agency. And they said to us, well, you guys can submit for the Teen Choice Awards, but it's highly unlikely that you'll get selected because they really do, work with brands that are already established. And so, my partner and I, we kind of looked at each other like, I think I smell a challenge. And so, we just kind of put our heads together. And I remember, at the time, I was consulting with Walmart, and so I was in Bentonville, Arkansas, and I'm on the phone with her, and I went to the Home Depot, and I said, I've got an idea. I'm going to get a paint can, I'm going to create a label, and we're going to put a whole bunch of stuff, Fortune Girls stuff in it. And then, we put these pink flowers on top. It turned out really, really cute, and we submitted it. And so, and when I tell you we put stuff in it, we changed labels, we sold Fortune Girls, like we just felt like we needed to submit to at least be able to say we submitted, we tried, it just didn't work. But when we got the call, when our PR agent got the call and said, they want your canisters, and now I need you to make 250 of these. You're like, holy smokes, how are we going to do that? And so we actually we made an assembly line in my home, in my living room, my dining room, and I invited my neighbors and friends, and everybody came and helped us to create these canisters and pack them up. And we had about 3 days to get it done. So we were able to do that, and it's just like one of those things when we look back and say, how on earth did we accomplish that? So you'd be surprised what you can do when you put your mind to doing it. So
absolutely,
that's how it is when you have a small business.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have to say that you are a really good example of things that I've been hearing about lately, because there have been so many studies that show that, let's say a man and a woman are going for a job, and the woman will read the requirements and say, well, I have 80%, but I don't have that 20, so maybe I shouldn't take it. Whereas a man will read it and go, oh, man, I got 80. I'm there. And you are showing a great example of a woman who's saying, yeah, I may not get it there, but I'm going to try it anyways. And I just encourage other women to do the same thing that you did, because you never know until you try.
Yeah, you never know.
So good job.
Thank you.
So,
and I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah. So, Barbara, you are a person who seems very comfortable in her own skin. How did you, was there a turning point in your life? Were you always like that?
The turning point for me, honestly, was when it was early. It was when I finally took that position with Adidas, and I worked in New Jersey, and I was designing a lot of. I wasn't an assistant, which is why I was interested in taking that position. I was designing Voice 8 to 20, and when my boss came to me and he said, "We're closing our office, and we want to offer you a position in France, in our international design office," and I'm like, France? What is that? I failed French with a 69 in high school. This was not a part of the plan. And so I came home and actually I had just gotten married, and my husband said, why not? We should go. And so, Adidas put together a really nice package for us, and, they even agreed to give my husband working papers because he's a civil engineer. And we actually moved to France. We moved to France for 18 months, and the 18th month, my boss came back to me and he said, Barbara, we're moving back to the headquarters in Herzogenaurach, Germany. And I said, okay, great. I'm going to go there for 3 months. My husband's going to go home at this juncture, and and I'll just start, I'll just find another position. And so I went to Germany for the 3 months, and prior to leaving, he said to me, why don't you stay on as a consultant? And I'm like, well, what is that? What do they do? Like, I was so green, I had no idea. And he said, well, yeah, pretty much the same thing you're doing now, except you'll be able to work from your home and get paid the same and not wake up every day? What? I'm in. So I actually, I ended up consulting with Adidas Germany for about 5 years, and I traveled back and forth to Germany. And while I was there, I was responsible for our T-shirts globally, and they also gave me my own category of business, which I thought was pretty huge, and I could pretty much call it whatever I wanted. And I decided to just take our 3 stripes and put it on sportswear, and I called it trefoil. Now, trefoil is that little leaf that is pretty much vintage. They call it vintage now, but at the time it was our only branding. And I actually created a collection called Trefoil, which helped us to position ourselves for the Adidas Original stores. So I'm really happy about that. And based on that turning point for me was actually when I got to be a consultant and traveling to Europe and meeting some amazing people who then went on to work for other companies, and they said, Barbara, I need you to work for my company, and I need you to work for my company. And so, after the 5 years, I left Adidas. I had a baby, and one of my old, colleagues called, and he said, I'm with Fila in Biella, Italy. I want you to come and consult with me. And I'm like, okay. So I did that, and then I went to work with Speedo and Asics and Nike and New Balance, and I was creative director for all 6 of Walmart's activewear divisions. And so that turning point for me was when I decided, when my husband, he encouraged me to move to Europe. That's when it happened.
Wow, that's a great story. I'm sure that we could go on and talk for a really long time about all those different experiences. But we're running out of time, and I want you just to share, you sent me a little article about a very recent transaction where I had seen on social media these very cool sneakers that came out with the Fortune Girls logo and some of the characters on them. And tell the story about Whoopi Goldberg.
I met Whoopi Goldberg honestly, I put it out there in the universe, and I said my partner and I were brainstorming about, celebrities that we loved, and I love The View. I watch it, as often as I can, and she has a shoe cam, and I said, oh my gosh, I would love to be able to get Whoopi Goldberg to wear our sneakers on the shoe cam, and it just so happens that I mentioned it to Venus's PR person, and she said, she calls me up. It was like a week later. She calls me up. She's like, Barbara, you'll never guess that when Venus is on Katie Couric, guess who else is her guest? I'm like, I don't know. She's like, Whoopi Goldberg. I'm like, you're kidding me. She's like, yeah. She's like, her dressing room is right next door. Bring the sneakers. And I'm like, are you sure? She's like, bring the sneakers. You're probably never going to get another opportunity like this. Because I told Whoopi when I met her, and she was so gracious and she was so wonderful. And I said, Miss Goldberg, I'd love to, give you a gift, and I have a pair of sneakers, and I'd love for you to wear them on The View. And she's like, they took away my shoe cam. I think it's since come back, but she loved them. She loved what it was about, and I told her we were going to be doing a social media campaign, and she's like, I'm in. And it was so sweet because she even said to Bina, she's like, yeah, we're going to play a little bit. She was referring to me and what she would bring to the brand. And so we gave her the sneakers, and she gave me that. She gave us an amazing quote. She loved them. Fingers crossed that she will still at some point wear them on the View shoe cam, because we need that kind of PR. But yeah, she was delightful, and just the craziest things happen when you put it out there in the universe.
That's fabulous. So I will be putting up, for those of you who are watching live, tell us the name, a website to go to learn more about those shoes, Barbara.
So the sneakers are being printed. They're Converse sneakers, and there's a company called the Avenue Venice that prints our sneakers. They do custom printing, and so you would be able to just Google the Avenue Venice, and we are on the first and second page of their website when you go to like their products page. And they're the cutest sneakers, and we have some other retail opportunities coming our way that we're looking into doing that, and hopefully soon we'll have some other products. But right now we're really proud to be able to have this sneaker collection, and it's really cute and it's selling really well. And we encourage everybody to go out there and get a pair of our sneakers and enjoy them.
Excellent. And I'll be putting up that information at the end of the YouTube video so that you can have more information in case you forget.
Mm-hmm.
So, Barbara, we're just about at the end here. I want to take this time to thank you for being my guest today. I find you so inspiring. I know that others will feel exactly the same. And I encourage you to keep going in following your path, because you are really a role model to others. So thanks so much.
Thank you, Janet. And I'd love to, ask people to just drop us an email at info@fortunegirls.com. We are looking for strategic partners and, interesting opportunities, and we're looking for funding. So please feel free to, send an email and introduce yourself. We love, meeting new people and collaborating. So just let us know. And thank you, Janet, for having me.
Oh, excellent. Thank you so much. And next week, my guest will be Susan Barrett Meryl. She is a really interesting friend of mine who is a world-renowned weaver, an artist, and has an amazing peace project called the Earth Loom. So please join us next week for Superbwoman Sundays at 7, and have a wonderful week until then. Thanks for joining us.